Hello and welcome to Electromining Africa Connect 2020. A very warm welcome from Johannesburg. My name is Gary Corrin. I'm Managing Director of Specialized Exhibitions, and we're the proud organizers of Electromining Africa. Although not live this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, to maintain the spirit of the show, this week Electromining Africa is hosting Electromining Africa 2020 Connect Week. During the course of the 5 days of this week, players will unite in the celebration of Electromining Africa through a participation in live industry webinar series and through exhibitor product showcases. And today is no exception. We are proud to be partnering with SACEEC, the South African Capital Equipment Export Council, and we'll be hearing from Eric shortly. But really, it's almost surreal. I'm talking here from the Johannesburg Expo Center at Nasrec, and the venue at the moment is actually a field hospital, which talks to the reality, the stark reality of the situation we find ourselves in. And what is even more surreal for us is that this would have been the 48th year of Electromining Africa, and it's the first time in its history that we haven't had a live event. But through the wonderful innovation of technology and the various platforms and partnerships, a partnership with Creamer Media, Interact Media Defined, through partnering with our very esteemed trade associations, multipliers of business, we are able to bring you a very unique online platform in the spirit of delivering products, services, and innovations to a captive and receptive audience from industries like mining, manufacturing, electrical, power generation, transport, and new for this year, matters automation. Electromining Africa is the largest show of its kind on the African continent, and it's highly anticipated by all. This makes the cancellation of this year's event especially sad, but we are all, and hopefully this theme will come through today as we share with our subject matter experts. We're all glass half full type of people, so we're looking forward to the opportunity of sharing with you around our topic of today, which is that of innovation and the status of the South African manufacturing sector, which is driving exports, and in conjunction with that, the SACEEC Council and the stats that they have to share with us. So just a few housekeeping items, information for attendees. The chat option is enabled on your screens, so we encourage you to talk to each other. Feel free to use that facility. There will be Q&A. There's a Q&A facility as well. Post your questions, and we'll get through as many of those as we can with our panelists today. The webinar will be recorded, and an important note for the questions that we don't manage to tackle. Our panelists have given us an undertaking that they will get through as many of those questions offline over the next few days, and that information will be emailed to all attendees, and you'll be able to pick up copies of this webinar on Creamer Media's website and the electrominingafrica.co.za website as well. Ladies and gentlemen, and fellow industry colleagues, that takes me then into our first panelist today, who's actually our host for the day. It's Eric Brachmann. He's CEO of SACEEC. I think he's well known to a lot of folk in the industry. For those that don't know him, he's a very busy man. He's involved with Sanker. He does sailing, he does wildlife, he must do wildlife. He lives in the similar part of town to me. He lives out there in Benoni. And he's passionate about South Africa, its past, its future, its difficulties, and its potential, of which there are numerous possibilities. He's a mechanical engineer with a wealth of experience who has worked for the African Development Bank, World Bank on economics of machinery and equipment. He is a lover of wildlife, the African bush, and is a key nature conservationist. A fun fact, red wine, live for today and make the best of what life throws my way is his philosophy. I'm going to hand you over to Eric Brachmann as our host for the day from SACEEC. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Gary. Thanks for those kind words. Yeah. First of all, let me take this opportunity to thank Specialized Exhibition Montgomery and Creamer Media for hosting this very important event and this webinar, and for the invitation to partake. So we are going to go through quite a bit of information. Because it was Women's Month, and yesterday Electromining Africa had Women in Mining, I'm just going to give you some information about the employment of women. And just to let you know that it's not all bleak. Domestic workers, 97% of all domestic workers are women. Clerical people, 72% of all clerks are women. Interesting that technicians in South Africa, 55% of all technicians are women. Sales and service, 48% are women. Managers and directors, 32% of all the people in South Africa are women. Skilled agriculture, 25%. Plant and machinery operators, 13%. And the one thing that actually surprised me is craft and related trade, only 11% are women. So to all the women out there, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. I seriously can't do my job without the support of women. Gary, to start off more about the South African Capital Equipment Export Council, I'm going to be talking about the Export Council and give a short, brief indication of who we are and what we do. And SACEEC represents the capital equipment, the machinery and equipment, and the project sector for new projects and the aftermarket. It also is endorsed body for the consulting engineers and the associated bodies, merchant bankers, with reference to involvement in financing of capital goods. Projects, capital equipment suppliers, and suppliers of service to the capital project sector. So we have quite a mouthful. SACEEC is an indispensable part of the globalization of the African industry and provides a facilitation role in assisting capital equipment sector companies to grow their business through exporting. To that end, it takes a proactive role in, amongst others, assisting its members to maximize markets through providing early leads and opportunities. We organize outward selling missions and inward buying missions. We provide one-stop access to suppliers of the sector and simplify the identification of suppliers for international sourcing. We provide a vehicle for encouraging and sharing of export-related facilities and manpower. We encourage the development and consortiums of the package of international projects, facilitate the liaison with all departments of government. We provide access to the combined voice of the sector on issues relating to finance, localizations. We're involved with industrial policy, both development and the application thereof. We do industrial promotion, and we're providing, and today we're going to be launching the SACEEC new webpage, the interactive webpage, as well as the Creamer Media virtual showroom, which is absolutely fantastic. The South African Capital Equipment Manufacturing and Allied Services has a long history of serving its members in the industry, and we can be divided into 5 segments. We do agricultural equipment, mining equipment, building and construction equipment, utilities, and other process engineering. And these range from highly innovative designs and associated R&D, as well as manufacturing technologies. This demanding home market has created the perfect environment for South African manufacturers and service suppliers to be highly competitive exporters to the industry worldwide, and even during these adverse conditions. South African capital equipment exporters are highly qualified to provide simple as well as comprehensive solutions to your engineering needs in terms of capital and service for green and brown fields, capital projects, aftermarket supplies, and for debottlenecking, for revamping and optimization. So we have a mouthful of what we do, and as SACEEC, our objective is to put our members in front of customers around the international world And I think that we are pretty successful as that. A little bit more information. We have exporting members, and this is where it's a little bit strange. We have approximately 228 members at SACEEC, and it's divided into 3 groups. One is the exporting members. We have about 160 people currently exporting at the moment around the globe. We have what we call a Black Industrial Mentoring Program for young up-and-coming industries. We have 15 members, and then of course we have partners. And I'm a firm believer, and I believe this, that SACEEC can't do anything without partners, and our partners are Specialized Exhibition Montgomery, Creamer Media, the GGDA, the DTI, ITEC, ECIC, different training institutes, and we partner with everybody to be able to do what we do. So the advantages of being a member of SACEEC, Gary, is you've got 160 like-minded people that you can network with, and all of these guys are involved in different countries, not all in the same country. So to visit countries makes it easy. You don't go as a stranger to a country to try and export your product. We partner you up with somebody. And as you know, in the past, these exhibitions that we do are absolutely fantastic. In our industry, you need to be able to partner with people that go with you, hold your hand, and introduce you to people. We are a public-private partner with the Department of Trade and Industry. One of the other big advantages is, of course, we have discounted rates, and that's where the partnership comes in with Specialized Exhibition, etc. That when a SACEEC member goes to an exhibition, we hold your hand, but you also get a discounted rate. We have several member hubs in Africa where SACEEC, we use our members as hubs, and you'll see that Brent down the bottom there at Brachmann, we use them, for example, in Zambia, and they've been an absolute pleasure to work with helping other SACEEC members enter into the market. Their infrastructure in Zambia is as good as the infrastructure in South Africa. So through those type of partnerships, we take our members through 178 countries around the world. The ease of entering a new country, as I just mentioned, attending outward and inward missions, going out, getting people in. We introduce our members to the Chamber of Commerce from different countries. We partake. We find out which projects are happening in and around the world so that we can introduce the projects to our members. SACEEC also runs an Exporter of the Year award, which is highly prized, and the benefits that goes with being a finalist or an awardee and that we do together with Specialized Exhibition Montgomery and Creamer Media as well. And then we have clusters. At SACEEC, we have 4 different clusters, and clusters is a group of like-minded people in the same industry. For example, Vamcosa or Sampec, the solar water heating or hot water heating, and the hydraulic cluster HAPEC. It's like-minded people, and they tackle problems locally. As an export council, we have to focus on the export market, but our clusters really tackle local problems, like the South African Bureau of Standards that they have, localization of projects. There's a lot of, and they amongst themselves decide what the projects are that they're going to do as a cluster. Just to give you another idea, and this is where some of the little bit of stats will come in, I'll go through the stats as we go along, that the 160 members that we have export approximately 50 billion rands worth of goods a year in the machinery, equipment, capital equipment, and allied services. Now, if you think of it, that in last year, South Africa exported 178 billion rands worth of capital equipment, machinery and equipment, and that's the whole country does 178 billion. And if you think of it, that SACEEC members are averaging 50 billion a year, which is just under 30% of all the exports are coming from 30 member companies, 160 member companies, sorry. Then if you look at where do we export to, our main exporting partners in Africa is Namibia, Botswana, Zambia, Mozambique, Angola, DRC, Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, Morocco, Egypt. So we take Africa as a big part of our market. But we also do internationally, USA, Canada, Chile, Peru, Colombia, Argentina, Europe, Middle East, Far East, the islands. So our members have got a vast amount of knowledge when it comes to exporting. And that's where we're inviting the people that are not members of SACEEC, that are in the machinery equipment or are in the capital equipment, the valve actuated process equipment. If you want to export, you need three things in life. You either need a lot of money, a massive organization, and a lot of people to help you to get that network going around the world, or you join an export council like SACEEC, where we take individual people and we introduce them, the networking that happens, the networking that gets done. And, you know, if we had electromining, the physical show this week, I think you guys normally get something like 32 or 36,000 people walking through the place. That's called networking. And we offer that to our members and we introduce them to a lot of people. So it's absolutely fantastic. To give you an idea, and sometimes I get a bit annoyed with when you listen to the news when they say transformation does not take place or transformation is not happening. If you have a look at SACEEC, the members at SACEEC, and I'm going to give you the breakdown, the SACEEC members who own 51% more of a business, black-owned companies, 20.5% of our members are 51 or more % owned by a black owner. Between 26% and 50%, we've got 13% of our members. Black women-owned companies is 7%. Black empowered companies, level 4, 3, 2, or 1, is 57%. And youth-owned companies, and we classify the youth-owned companies from 18 to 35 years old, is 2.5%. So you can see from this information that transformation is taking place. And why transformation is taking place so well in our industry is because we are supplying the mines and there's a mine charter. A lot of our members are supplying state-owned companies, and so you need to comply to the rules. So in engineering, you'll find that people are very fast to comply to rules and regulations because you want to do business and you want to do good and honest business. Another thing is that we, as I mentioned, we run the Southern African Manufacturing Expo. We launched it last year together with Specialized Exhibition Montgomery, and it's going to be running again next year in 2021, and we've changed the date to October. So that's all good news. So that will be running. And then, of course, we run the Exporter of the Year award. Now, I just want to talk about some other stuff, Gary, before, and some interesting stuff. The remarks by Minister Brent Weller on the 4th of September. He was at the summit of manufacturing summit on the 4th of September with the African countries. And one of the things he said is African countries are learning the hard lesson that we cannot remain simply exporters of raw material and importers of finished goods. And I think that is very a proper way of putting it. South Africa imports a lot of stuff. And he carries on to say Africa has 17% of the world population, only 3% of the world's GDP, 2% of the global manufacturing output, and 1% of the steel production. So if you put that in context, you can see that, yes, Africa is a big continent and we need to do more for ourselves. And, you know, the governments, all the governments in Africa have agreed to the African Continental Free Trade Area, and it's called AfCFTA. And so this is supposed to happen, and they were supposed to start in July, which means that there's a free trade, or starting to be free trade throughout Africa. But of course there's problems, and COVID is one of them. So they're now starting this in January of next year, where they will. But the timelines to go, there's still 54 countries have signed to date. And out of that, 30 countries have ratified. So it's been postponed to January 2021. But there's still some major issues that have to be finalized in this agreement of the 54 African countries. And that's the rules of origin. More countries have to ratify the increased implementation. They have to ratify the harmonization of custom codes and policies and regulations. There's some integration issues. Obviously, the COVID impact has hit us. And protectionist policies so that we don't start trade wars amongst ourselves. So in short, that is SACEEC and what we do. Just to give you some more information is, and some rand and dollar terms. South Africa, Zambia, South Africa exports about 35 billion rands worth of machinery and equipment into Zambia on a yearly basis, and that was in 2019. We do 5 billion into Botswana, DRC. South Africa exports 16 billion to the DRC. We do 5.5 billion to Ghana. We do 10 billion into Kenya, 3.3 billion into Madagascar, 57 billion into Mozambique, and 8.2 billion into Namibia. And one of the countries that are in Africa now that is really up and coming is Rwanda. And hopefully we'll be able to start promoting more of the South African manufactured goods into Rwanda, but we are doing 1 billion rand a year into Rwanda. So as you can see, that is a lot of stuff that is still happening in South Africa. So although we've gone through the COVID, and just to give you the COVID, details that came out yesterday, everybody knows that we're running at minus 51% of GDP. So it's crazy. We're at a minus 51%. But if you have a look at construction has been during COVID the biggest losers, and they've lost 76.6% of contribution to the GDP. I'm talking about in the last 3 months, in the last quarter. Manufacturing is down by 74.9%. Industry financing, including banking, insurances and things, fell by 28%. Agriculture was one of the few that actually grew, and that was because of the exports of maize, citrus fruits and pecan nuts, so they grew by 15%. But interesting enough, household expenditure in the last 3 months have also dropped by 49.8%, and spending on restaurants and hotels has dropped by 99.9%. So as you can see that we're in a difficult situation at the moment, but knowing Africa, knowing South Africa, I'm sure we will rebound back, and we have to rebound back. So the manufacturing sector is taking a strain at the moment. And again, I'm proud today to see 3 of our members on the screen, Franco, Brent and Francois, all launching projects, new products today, 100% designed, locally designed products that they'll be launching, which you will take them through later. And then just lastly, before I hand back to you, Gary, is that today SACEEC is launching its new webpage, old with the out and in with the new. We've designed, and what happened was COVID came as a surprise. So we were all surprised, and when COVID arrived, we needed a new webpage. We needed a new way to get our members in front of our customers. So there was a lot of work being done. We had to put the old box to one side and think out of the box and say, how do we do it? So we've designed a new interactive webpage. And our goal with the website was to provide our members and prospective members with an easier way to learn about SACEEC, the ethos of SACEEC, service, and to provide visitors with a more friendly user. So visitors can come in onto our webpage. We're sending our webpage to something like 60,000 people that normally you'd meet at shows around the world. So we're going to put our members in front of them. So that is fantastic. So the whole web page is up and new, and we've gone, and as far as in the last 2 weeks, every day we've had 2 or 3 sessions training our members on the new web page, because you put your information on, you put videos on, everything that you've got for marketing material you can put on. And then earlier I mentioned that, you know, we have partnerships, and I'd also like to thank Creamer Media, because Creamer Media has come to our members, and we've put a virtual showroom up via Creamer Media for all our members, which is absolutely fantastic. So now we got the best of both worlds. So we got 2 web pages. One is the SACEEC web page, which is for all our members, and we got the Creamer Media virtual showroom, which is also available to all our members. But that includes the webinar aspect. So when we get out of the COVID-19 epidemic, we've got the best of both worlds. We've got, due to COVID, we were forced to think out the box, work very hard and very quickly to find alternative ways to sit in front of our customers, to sit in front of our members, to sell our product. And the second one, of course, is the shows when they come back. We will be continuing with shows. I mean, we need to continue with shows around the world. So Gary, before I go back to you, we've had a poll of questions that's on there, and it goes around the manufacturing. So we'd like to ask our listeners to have a look at the poll and start answering some questions and posting some questions to us. Thank you, Gary. Back to you.
Thanks, Eric. A lot of detail in your presentation, a lot of stats, a lot of information. Just scrolling through the chats, I see, and it's a fair question, Dilly. You know, Eric started out with a list of statistics around Women's Month, and yet the panelists today, last time I checked, we're all white male. Just in fairness to the panelists today, yesterday's webinars were exclusively female. Tomorrow's panelists are all female as well from an engineering perspective. And then also just touching on Eric's stats around transformation. And I've seen the work that SACEEC are involved in, a lot of those youngsters, a lot of those new talented folk from previously disadvantaged backgrounds, all involved in the events that we've spoken to. So some exciting developments on that front. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some of the meat of the presentation today. I'm going to talk to our first panelist, Francois Murray. He's CEO of Stanford Trading. I'll give you a little bit about his background. He says he enjoys relaxing with friends and family. I think it may be a paradox, because a little bit further on, he says he enjoys the happy side of life, but he has a private pilot's license. So there's a bit of a contradiction there. A happy family man, but a man that seems to, you know, take fearful things like flying to all sorts of extremes. He recently became a shareholder in a small plane. It's really a passion of his. We'll forgive him for doing that in Alberton. And he also loves gardening, and the satisfaction to see something through your love, sweat, and tears developing in a lash of colors. And this time of the year, Francois, most opportune. Let's getting into Stanford Trading and why you're with us today, and some of the insights you're going to share, which I think will be of enormous value to our listeners and viewers. You guys are launching a new product today. It's a 100 millimeter segmented ball valve, and you've designed, as a result of the type of business that you're in, specializing in different coating of valves and pumps. You saw a gap in the marketplace, and you guys are going to go for this. Up until now, and this is an interesting one, and it talks to some of Eric's statistics as well. Up until now, the valve has been 100% imported into South Africa. And now, for the first time, this valve is being manufactured 100% locally. Francois, tell us a little bit about this product, how it's come about, and the impact for the South African market. Thank you.
Hi, Gary. Thanks for the opportunity to be on the portal this morning. Yeah, the development of the quarter-turn segmented ball valve was inspired by the needs for the South African valve product that offers competitive pricing and a faster delivery time. And because at the moment, all existing quarter turn valves are being imported from Europe and Asia. And there's a big market for that. Due to that, the delivery time normally is between 8 to 12 weeks. And it's very difficult for companies that's in need of spares or a valve that fails to get a replacement valve in time. So the valve that we put on the table today is our own 100% South African valve. The valve is produced, we're using 100% locally sourced materials, and it's designed for severe applications where the other segments of ball valves failed. The valve can be adapted to the end user's requirement regarding installation mountings and can be adapted to service the oil and the gas industry and also dry applications with no additional structural changes necessary. The idea around this is through my 8 years in this business is that there's a need for from an 80 millimeter valve to a 300. That is the range that Stanford will provide. And at the moment, we're busy with the patents, and it will take another 6 months about to get all the different size valve patents in place and start with casting and all those and machining. But we're looking forward, and yeah, the main thing is it would be a valve that's much cheaper than the imported valve. There's shorter delivery times that will come up. It will create employment in South Africa, because I think after the COVID, it's a huge problem, especially in the manufacturing industry. I know a lot of companies that closes down or retrench people. So we're looking forward to that. It will be a contribution to the economy. And yeah, stock holding and space availability, that I think that is the main thing at this stage, to provide the product that can be supplied within a week or two instead of normally 8 to 12 weeks delivery.
Francois, thank you. A lot of detailed technical information, which is precisely why you're a subject matter expert and I'm just the moderator. But for those of us that are listening and actually want to take a bit of time to process some of that detail linked to those technical specifications, we'll be able to tap into that on CREMA's website. You'll provide that information to CREMA. It'll also be on the Specialized Exhibitions website. Thanks for that. There are a couple of questions that are emanating out of what you've shared with us, but I'm going to hold off on those until we've heard from our other panelists. Thanks for that, Francois. I'd now like to go over to Franco Diedrichs. Franco, he's the CEO of EMS Holdings. He's a founder, a member of the EMS group of companies, has a background in mechanical, electrical, manufacturing, sales, training and education, and marketing. Franco lives by the following philosophy: success is the result of good judgment. Good judgment is the result of experience, and experience is the result of bad judgment. So allow yourself to make mistakes just as long as you learn from them. A pretty insightful University of Life type experience, Franco. You also allow yourself to get involved in adrenaline sports, including mountain biking, power paragliding. You know, gentlemen, you guys are supposed to be engineers and you know, ordinary dull folk. The kind of stuff you do in your private time is frightening, actually. But with that as a backdrop, Franco, tell us a little bit about your product development, where you started, the processes that you're involved in today, and the marketplace and potential for your product. Bearing in mind that obviously we're talking matters South African, we're looking at the South African manufacturing capacity, we're looking at skills transfer, we're looking at all of those facets of the South African maker.
Yes, thanks, Gary. Thanks for the opportunity to present our product here today. I think just to bring things in perspective, you know, everybody uses hot water. You know, I consider hot water not a luxury, but a necessity. And with the mining houses, they've got a lot of people that needs to shower in the mornings. And years ago, about 7 years ago, we first had the opportunity to build a 30,000-liter hot water system for air chefs in Kempton Park near the airports, where all the airlines' food is being processed and manufactured, and they run a 24-hour shift there, 7 days a week. And during that time, when we designed the plant, we discovered that there's a huge shortage for big, huge metal steel tanks. And if you do order these things, they take a long time to manufacture, so the lead time is long. And that sparked an idea of coming up with something alternative. So a friend of mine from Germany introduced me to similar technology, which works with heat transfer technology. And we did a lot of research, and now a couple of years later, we've got a full manufacturing plant we set up here in Krugersdorp in the West Rand, where we produce hot water vessels made from fiberglass. But the difference is compared to calorifiers or standard boiler systems, that we work with a low pressure vessel. So we take away all those health and safety issues with regards to vessels that are under pressure, and especially hot water vessels that can explode. And we produce them from fiberglass, which will outlast and outperform any other system on the market. And this we successfully introduced to most of the mining houses. We did a lot of change houses at the mines, for instance, Harmony, Sibanya, Anglo. We're busy with some mines in Steelpoort at the moment. And this spin-off resulted that we started doing schools and universities and hospitals. The system is a lot cheaper. We manufacture these tanks at our factory, and they're actually assembled on site. So we do away with the cumbersome rigging and crane lifting and heavy export equipment you need. And the system works where we have a low pressure vessel filled with water. In fact, we dose it with glycol, which is connected to heat pumps. It's very simple. The heat pumps then charge the temperature in the water, or charge the water in the tank up to 60 degrees Celsius, and then switch off. So what we've created is a storage vessel full of hot water, which is very well insulated in comparison with metal, so we don't have the standing radiating energy losses. And then inside the tank, we fit a stainless steel corrugated coil, which then basically brings your potable pressured water into the tank, and it goes straight down to the bottom, and it spirals back inside this body of hot water. And as it comes out on the top, it increases in temperature, so it leaves the tank at 60 degrees. So we're creating hot water instantaneously. It'll come in at winter temperature, maybe 17 degrees, and it'll exit the tank at 60 degrees. And as the water temperature in the tank decreases because of the extraction of the energy out of the water, the heat pumps will sense it and basically just kick in and start making hot water. So it's a very simple but very efficient system. Most of our tanks are being built on site, like I said, anything from 3,000 and bigger. We go to site rolled up like a sausage, and we take the tank apart, the components, put it together, and then use resin, build the tank and install it on site. Now, having said that, I always had the dream that I can shrink this technology down for a domestic application, which was never been done. We've done the research, and globally we couldn't find anything similar. So it took us better part of 2 years to develop the technology, building prototypes. A lot of them failed miserably, but eventually we got it right. And now we are launching this integrated heat pump system through our distribution alliance partner, AC/DC, the electrical wholesalers, which has got almost 100 stores nationwide, and they are distributing the product for us. So unfortunate thing is we launched the product in January, and then this lockdown basically brought us to a complete stop. So we've really just picked up the business again in June and July, and things are looking very positive. We're selling quite a lot of these units now. And like I said, people can go to the nearest AC/DC store, or they contact us directly. And if it's commercial application like the mine houses, they can speak to us directly. Now, the kind of clients we're looking for is obviously new developments and existing homeowners, which want to, the buzzword now with Eskom is that everybody wants to get off the grid because of the increase in tariffs and electricity costs. So if you do consider do that, putting a PV system, you need to eliminate the bulk of the equipment in your house that consumes the most electricity, and hot water systems are the bulk of them. If you look at a normal domestic household, between 40 to 50 and sometimes 60%, depending on your lifestyle, of your electricity bill per month goes just towards electricity. So this system we've developed only uses 750 watts. It's got a 3 kilowatt integrated heat pump on top of the tank. The tank itself is made from fiberglass, but in this case, we fitted 2 coils inside the tank. So the first coil is connected to the heat pump, which is your condenser coil, which really transmits the heat into the water, which is inside the tank. And remember, the water in the tank never leaves. It's dosed with glycol, so the water stays there. It really just acts as a storage capacity for energy. And then the secondary coil which is a corrugated stainless steel coil, is through where your potable water flows that goes into the house. The system is also integrated with Wi-Fi functions, so you can operate it with your smartphone. I think it's one of the few or one of the only hot water vessels or geysers I know in the market that you can operate with your smartphone. You can put timers, you can set it on and off. We also have a backup element built into the system, which makes it fail-safe. So if the heat pump does give problems, the customer has the option to activate the element. So we never leave the customers without hot water. The benefits is that all pressured vessels, which we consider normal geysers, has to adhere to the SABS, the SANS 151 document, which has to go with certain certification. And if it's a pressure vessel, it comes with all the safety parameters like TP valves and such. Our system is a low pressure vessel, so we take away all the explosion risk. And the other big benefit is that lime scale has got zero effect on our tank. I was down in Steelpoort during the week where we work on the mines, and this is one of the biggest headaches there, is that the calorifiers and the boilers keep on packing up because the calcification of the limescale in the water just destroys the elements. We've built a system that limescale has got zero effect because the water is very turbulent flowing through the coils. It doesn't get time to precipitate, and the water in the tank itself that stores the energy never gets replaced. So there's no breakdown of systems unnecessary. And then it's really a plug-and-play system. So a homeowner can basically, buy the system from AC/DC, take it home, put it down on a flat surface, bring the hot water pipe out, bring the cold water pipe out from the roof, connect it onto the system, and you've got a normal 3-point plug. It's almost like a plug-in appliance. So it's very convenient. And like I said, we can distribute this through AC/DC on a national level at the moment. And for people that do want to consider going off the grid, like your bush lodges in Botswana and these places where they have to drive hundreds of kilometers to find gas to heat water, they can now incorporate a small PV system. For instance, using a 3 kilowatt inverter with a 100 amp hour lithium battery and 3 solar panels, and putting this hot water system in there, you've got off the grid complete hot water system, which I believe has never been done before. So that is in a nutshell the system and how it works.
Brilliant, Franco. Thanks. In layman's terms, that sounds like an off-the-grid giant standalone kettle for consumers, where you can store some water. I find it absolutely fascinating that as South Africans we have the insight, the not just the technology, but the processing capabilities, the intellect to be able to design these sorts of products and compete on a global scale. So well done to you guys for that, and thanks for that input. I'm going to go now to our next panelist, Brent Weller. He's head USA and Africa for Bralco. And when I was looking at his profile, and I asked him to share a little bit of insights into him as a person, he says he's very handsome. That's open to debate. I see he has similar hair problems to what I do. He loves cycling, motorcycling, actually. Of course, it would be motorcycling, anything engineering. I mean, who would do anything dull? He plays a bit of golf, and he's been in the industry for 25 years. So he's been around the block a few times and seen some stuff. Brent, please just share some of your insights, the innovations, the manufacturing components of what Bralco do, and just some of your insights really during these very unique times that we faced with here in South Africa from a manufacturing perspective.
Thanks, Gary. I'd like to thank everybody who joined us today. Thanks for everyone who set this up today, give us this opportunity. Bralco is an OEM manufacturer of spillage control equipment for the conveyor industry. The company was started in 1987, but we were latecomers to the industry. A lot of our opposition had been around for many, many years before us, so we had no choice but to be innovative from the start. And we looked at it in two ways. Our sales approach had to be different, and our products had to outperform everything that was in the market. All right, so difficult task to start, but here we are 33 years later and still performing. Whatever I'm about to tell you today, we got an open door policy at Bralco. So whatever I'm telling you today, you can see. We've got an open door policy, as I said. So if you want to come and visit the facility, just give us a ring, and we'll set up an appointment. You come through the factory, and we'll show you exactly what we're about. Two aspects I started with. Our product innovation. In the early days, we had two products. We made belt scrapers and we manufactured skirting. We pioneered the positive cleaning angle on the scrapers in South Africa and worldwide, not just in South Africa. And our skirting is a unique design, a patented unique design, and to this day still unique. Our sales approach, we had to be innovative. So we looked at the market and decided to go the hardest route possible. We went hard rock mining. We followed hard rock mining. In the early days was gold mining. A lot of the underground mines that weren't being visited that regularly, we decided to take them on. And then slowly, as the years went by, we started calling on the platinum mines that were really in their infancy those days. These two decisions had a huge role, or played a huge role in Bralco and our future growth. As our customer base expanded, we expanded our product base. Again, with the same criteria of designing a product that outperforms all our opposition product. So as we expanded that, and we were probably in the market for about 10 years, we realized we had to prioritize our service and maintenance division. You can sell any product in the world. It needs professional servicing. We employed a young and energetic service manager that really bucked the trend. Usually a company would employ somebody of experience, a little older. We went with a young, energetic, one of our service technicians actually, who we promoted into the role, still with us today. And being from that area, he quickly found that we needed to equip our teams professionally. One of the first things we did is we equipped them with new pickup trucks, with generators, compressors, power and hand tools, safety and PPE equipment, so they could carry out their work unhindered in some of the harshest conditions in Africa to start with. And we made a decision to actually charge for our services, which really bucked the trend again, because a lot of our opposition were offering free service. So we thought we have to charge, and a professional service comes at a cost. So there was no way we were going to take on that cost. We charged our clients, and by doing that, the company accepts full responsibility for that maintenance and service. But being innovative has stood us in good stead. Roughly 8 years ago, we made a decision to prioritize R&D. Now, it's easy to say R&D, but it takes huge resources. It takes a lot of time, a lot of dedication from management. But then what we did is we made the R&D all-inclusive throughout the whole company. So every department in the company contributes to R&D, right? And with a specific aim of reinventing our product, really, to be completely maintenance free as far as possible, so that we're not dependent on those large maintenance windows that the mine give you. So extended life, which really calls to the quality of the product, really. And throughout our history, being innovative and starting on this R&D process, our MD came to us and said to us, listen, we need to make our own, or manufacture our own idler. And everybody who's in the conveyor industry knows an idler runs the conveyor network, really. So it was a huge task, and people in the idler industry had been around for years. So we decided what was our strength. We looked at we've thrown polyurethane for years. We've worked in polyurethane, so we decided early on that the idler would be made with polyurethane. But the crux of what I'm trying to say to you is going through the process of making, or firstly brainstorming around the idea, right? Then designing it, prototyping it, testing it, and finally making a decision to run and produce it is a process you go through that really transforms a company. And early on, we made a decision to make it, the product had to be a world-class product. And we quickly realized that the company then had to be world-class. Otherwise, you can't consistently produce a world-class product. So huge money was spent on upskilling our staff firstly, so that everyone in the company continues adding value, and then spending huge amounts of resources on upscaling the factory. So to this end now, the factory features solar panels. We started a project about 5 years ago, installing solar panels on all of our factory roofing. In summer, well, as we completed now to date, the solar panels can give us 50% of our power in winter and 66% of our power in summer, which was a huge step for us. We also obviously did the generator that everyone does, but we put in a huge 550 kVA generator that's able to give us all the power we need when there's shutdowns, and not just for essentials, but the factory never stops. The generator is able to produce enough power for the whole factory's need. We then upgraded our bank of CNC machines to the latest spec machines. We commissioned a fully automated polyurethane dispensing machine that we imported, and we installed and commissioned a robotic welder, which was a huge task for us, a huge learning curve, but it's up and it's running and it's commissioned. We procured state-of-the-art tooling for the workshop, and to date now, going back to the upskilling of our staff, we design all our molds and tools in-house for all our polyurethane products. So all the tooling is in-house. And then soon to be commissioned is a fully automated painting line or spray painting line that we're busy with commissioning at the moment, and a fully robotic gluing system for all our tungsten blades. And there's just some of the improvements that we're busy with in the factory. But in order to back up being innovative and back up your product, you need world-class machinery in order to do that. All these improvements will make us efficient, a lot more efficient. Our accuracy levels would go up and productivity goes up, which a lot of our customers have come to enjoy. Just as an example, we got a contract in Lephalale with Xara Grote Geluk a couple of years ago, a full maintenance contract, and they approached us with a problem they were having with tonnage has been put through one of their load points. We had a look at it. We sent some of our technical team out there to have a look at the problem. They assessed it. They came back, and getting back to our idler, we designed a unique impact system for that area, which we went out and installed, and we got documented proof. The maximum they ever got out of that transfer point was 800 tons a day, and we upped that tonnage to 3,000 tons a day by installing a unique product, but with a core of a locally designed idler. That was in August 2019. August 2020, which we've just gone through, the system is still running, still producing, and to date, very, very, very little wear on the system. So getting back to being innovative, as South Africans, we know how. We've got lots of know-how. In the mining industry, we've been in it for years, hard rock mining, and lately been involved in the US market. What they've taught us is website development. We've got to up our game there. So we're busy upgrading our website in the States. But yeah, 33 years later, being innovative has really paid for us. But exporting, like Eric said early on, networking with SACEEC, because exporting is expensive. Traveling, taking time out to travel different countries, dollar-based economies, big money converting your rands, big money. So yes, tying up with SACEEC and opening the doors for us, and working together. We've got a huge, I think our distributing network is around 40 agents now around the world. So, but working together has proven, and particularly over the last 2 years with SACEEC, we've got a lot more involved. We'd like to thank them, because without them, a lot of what we're doing today wouldn't have happened.
Thanks, Brent. That's brilliant. Some really detailed insights there. If the panelists will allow, we'd like to just address one or two Q's and A's. Firstly, I'd like to just see we've got a friend from Caminex, our partners, London Moorfieldsway. Welcome, London. So we've got Africa people signing in today. Just listening into the information, and then Johan, he's asked this question 3 or 4 times, and I think we really think we should just help him here. Innovative drilling solutions, how do you launch that? I suggest, Eric, if you can just wave. I'm sure that Johan can chat to you afterwards. We're a little short for time to discuss specifics, but that's certainly, as Brent alluded to, some of the value that we get out of SACEEC. One question I'd like to pose to the panelists, because it also came through quite strong, and I think it really is relevant. And I've just mentioned London, who's a very close partner of ours in the Copper Belt in Zambia. The question came through: the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. How does that impact on our ability as South Africans to export? Francois, could I start with you? Just an opinion. I know a little bit blindsided there, but how would you view that?
To be honest, I'm not sure. I haven't done it before. I think maybe Eric is the one that can answer that question for us, if you don't mind.
Perfect. Eric, just an insight into that, and then I'll come to you, Brent.
Yeah, look, the Africa trade, it should be exciting. At the moment, because of COVID, it's been put on hold. And don't forget, with the African trading and agreement, it is not that South Africa is suddenly going to dump equipment all over Africa. It is a promotion and the working together that every country, every African country increases its own manufacturing. As you saw earlier, only 1% of manufacturing from Africa happens. So it's supposed to be a free trade. There's still a lot of problems, but the idea is that we work together, that we support one another, that Africa grows, that we do an Africa Inc., like we got a SA Inc., where South Africa has got together and exporting all over the world. It's to be able to work together a lot easier to travel, to facilitate, to get product through, passports, visas, and just business, and to support one another in business. That's the whole idea between this African trade, is to grow the business within Africa for Africa. I think Brett also wanted to say something there.
Thanks, Eric. Brent?
Sorry, let me just unmute myself. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Just to open up travel regulations, really, because having salespeople out there traveling in Africa, like I said, is expensive, but you can't believe the time delays applying for visas and then still going to traveling to the different countries and being held up at airports, and the logistics is just a nightmare. So I see it as a huge opportunity where there is a free trade, regulations are open, visas fall away, and our guys can get out there and sell. We produce what we do, and just getting it out there into Africa would make it a lot easier, or opening those regulations.
Yeah, interesting. Perhaps just from a layman's perspective, I could add to that, because like I say, London's on the call with us today. But what we have found with the events that we've done in Zambia and Botswana, what I think is crucial is that you need localized partnerships wherever you possibly can. Zambians know Zambia better than anybody else. They know the nuances of getting in and out. They know their market, they know their requirements. And, you know, if you have a unique skill or solution, there's no reason why they wouldn't be. Are they incredibly hospitable people, for example? The Botswanans no different. So I think it's about also trying to find, it's about people. I mean, you know, the irony of today, connecting via digital means, whereas under normal circumstances, we would have been meeting face to face. So very interesting. Gentlemen, we are coming to the end of our time allocation, but before we do, I'd like to just bring up the polls, the results of the polls, which was submitted by our attendees today. Would you, as an exporter, join SACEEC for networking and ease of business? Yes, overwhelming yes, 2/3. Eric, you're going to have some work to do there. Yeah, it is encouraging, and I'm hoping that the body language behind a webinar, a lot of information today, everybody will be able to go onto websites, take their time, download some of the more technical stuff. But you know, you're talking to Johan's question, which resonates with me. I've got this solution, I've got this offering. How do I get it to market? And I think that's crucial. And people like SACEEC can really assist. I mean, Brent, you're a company, and you offer to open your doors. You know, the engagement of Francois and Franco today. So really, for attendees, use the opportunity to engage with panelists. They've availed themselves. Let's use that. The second question, how long would you say, and this scares me, how long would you say that it would take for manufacturing sector to recover from this pandemic? 5 years. Perhaps I could just ask the panelists here what your views are, very briefly. Like I say, gentlemen, we're running out of time, but I think this is crucial. You know, we have a lot to offer. Today's webinars demonstrate that unequivocally, but it takes time. So how much time, and why do you think it's going to take that sort of time? Perhaps, Franco, you could start off there.
Yes, Gary, thanks. Look, we've got to face reality is that a lot of industries have suffered. We know that the big building industries has collapsed over the last few years. You know, the big names, which created opportunities, I believe, for other smaller firms to expand their horizons. You know, big trees fall long but hard. And if it makes room for smaller plants to grow, then I believe this is opportunity we have to grab. Our company specifically has opened a branch in Mauritius in the last year, and we've been doing extremely well. You know, economies vary from country to country. I know that Mauritius is heavily reliant on tourism, and we focus on the hotel industry, and we produced a lot of hot water systems for various hotels, very upmarket hotels, because our products is robust. I think smaller companies need to look at the opportunities where there's room for growth. If one moves out of the way, there's an old Afrikaans saying that says, you know, een se dood is die ander se brood. And unfortunately, that's the reality of business. You know, look out for opportunities. Africa is a big continent. There's a lot of development taking place, a lot of infrastructure. And like Brent rightfully said, if the border controls relax a bit and give us opportunity to go, I think Africa is the next place for us to investigate, for sure.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Francois, your view from you, also being, you know, an innovator of product?
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. For a couple of years, this industry with the quarter segment or the quarter turn segmented ball valve is ruled by certain companies, and why nobody knows. It's everything has been imported from Europe and from Asia or America, and yeah, we reconditioned these valves for nearly 8 years, and I think we are the only company that can recondition a quarter turn valve, and not replacing parts. So I think it just get to a point that there's a need, and with the COVID, I think that was a main issue, because the paper industry are really in need of capital, because everything flows. There was no exports, there was no orders that's coming out, and they're sitting with warehouses full of paper that was just standing. So, and everybody is looking for something, I don't want to say cheaper, but yeah, actually cheaper, but with the same quality. And that's where this come in. And I think for the future, if they can reduce on maintenance costs and replacement of valves and pumps, then this is the way to go. Yes.
Francois, thanks for those inputs. I'd like to just a closing comment from each of the panelists before I hand back to Eric as we come to the end of our webinar today. Franco, just a closing thought from you.
Thanks, Gary. Yes, look, I think South Africans are innovative. We need to focus on our core competencies. We've got a big labor force. There's a lot of people that's eager to learn. There's a lot of people that's eager to work. If you've got a good product and you manufacture a quality product, then there's room for improvement and growth. We might be a small economy. You know, I've also imported a lot of equipment and tools from China. And we realize now that they are not the only manufacturing people around the planet. As South Africans, our labor, if we train people well, we can benefit from this. Africa is a big continent. We close to our borders. We don't need ships. If our road infrastructure is not completely that bad, I know of a lot of infrastructure that's been developed in Zambia, in Zimbabwe, Botswana, Mozambique, even in Namibia. And we should focus on that core competencies now to penetrate our neighboring countries, because everybody always wants to go overseas, and it's not necessarily the solution. We know what we do here. We need to bring back that energy into our manufacturing there.
Brilliant, thanks Franco. Brent, a closing comment from you.
Thanks, Gary. Yeah, I've been a glass half full type guy. We, or company anyway, we use this time to basically re-gear the company for an increase in export sales, and we need to take advantage. And our biggest advantage in the export market is our rand-based manufacturing facility. The rand is excellent for export, and take advantage. If you've got a product that is well designed, you'll be surprised the size of the market out there. And the rand is at the value at the moment where exports are not easy, but yes, definitely take advantage of it, because we have all the expertise, and just be out there and work hard. Nothing comes easy. Everything is hard work, and it all takes time. It's taken us 33 years to get where we are, and we by no means at the end of our life cycle. We're going full balls out.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you, Francois. Last comment from you.
Sorry, can you hear me? Yeah, thanks to Creamer Media and Specialized Exhibitions, Montgomery and SACEEC for Eric for this huge opportunity today, and all of the best to all the people. Yeah, out there.
Brilliant. I haven't forgotten the last question on the poll. I find it fascinating that 71% of respondents, no, sorry, I'm at the wrong, 96% of respondents believe that as a small SME, you can export. And it talks to the entire theme of today. And I think, again, Eric, that's going to leave work for SACEEC to engage with those SMEs. I think there's a lot of opportunity, a very optimistic message. And on that note, as we've come to the end of our time, I'd like to hand over to you just to close. Thanks, Eric.
Gary, thank you. And to Franco, to Brent, and to Francois, thank you so much. If you have a look, you know, we got, as I said earlier, we got 160 of the most amazing members that are absolutely, like what Brent said, the innovation of these guys. Look at the two today. We're launching products that have been designed in South Africa by South Africans, nowhere else. You know, we can do it. If we want to really grow our economy, and our economy at the moment, as you know, manufacturing is down 74%, 75%. It's a short thing on COVID. We have got the innovation, we have got the experience, we have got the people, we have got the manpower. You know, we need to get government more involved, and government doesn't need to tell us how we need to do our job. Government needs to open borders, needs to make sure that their business is done properly in other countries, and that we can have free movement and we can get our product there. But if you think of it, that if the state-owned companies and if everybody in South Africa would just support local manufacturing, we would get out of this slump in a matter of months. And that's one of the questions why we asked the question, how long do you think it's going to take for us to recover? The recovery depends on the interest of our government making sure that we can recover. If they start supporting us and stop importing the product, if they start supporting local manufacturing, if the banks start supporting local manufacturing, it's amazing what we as an industry can do. So I'm positive that we will recover from this, and that we have got the most amazing manufacturers in South Africa. And I mean, if we had Electromining Africa today, not as a virtual show, but as a show, you'd most probably have 10,000 people walking around the showgrounds today. So the engineering is there, the innovation is there, everything is there. We just need to get the support. We need to get over COVID so that we can do our business, and we will recover. And I think we will recover pretty quick. So from my side, Gary, to Specialized Exhibitions and to Creamer Media, thank you so much. And to all the listeners that were on today and the questions, please send the questions to us. We will answer the questions. And to our amazing members at SACEEC, thank you for all your support. We really appreciate it. Gary, thank you.
Bye-bye.